Hello and welcome to Eagle Eye TV's bye-week preview for Auburn football. I'm Andy Hewling, joined by Delaney Barrow, and we're going to talk about Auburn's bye-week preview as well as the season so far and rank each unit by grade. So Delaney, Auburn came into Florida this weekend needing to be 6-0 coming into this week. But unfortunately, the Tigers were not able to defeat Florida, and they lost 24-13. What went wrong for Auburn, and how did Florida's defense stifle Bo Nix and the Auburn offense?
Well, I definitely think that the arena and the crowd noise got to Bo, as playing in front of a crowd that large really put a lot of pressure and stress on him, and so he was very inconsistent with his throwing, and he couldn't really find his groove.
He did have a few good plays. The touchdown to Seth Williams was a great play. Had some great runs from Jatarvius Whitlow, and the running game seemed to be there in some points of the game. But overall, the swamp got to him. What else happened for Florida's offense? They were able to take advantage of Auburn's turnovers.
Well, Florida's offense wasn't on their A game either, considering that there were 3 sack fumbles on Trask. But even though Auburn's defense was able to pull through, the offense just wasn't able to capitalize on those mistakes.
So Auburn goes into the bye week 5-1 on the season. And now, Delaney, we're going to rank Auburn's units by grade. It's midterms week here at Auburn, so a lot of people are getting grades. So now we're going to give the Auburn football team some grades. So let's start out with the special teams. How have they been this season? Kind of struggled a little bit to the start, but how would you grade them?
I would grade them probably an A-. They definitely were struggling in the beginning, especially against Oregon and this past weekend with punt returns, but they're improved somewhere in between, and there's always room to go up. So I'd say A-.
And I think Christian Tutt's been a huge factor in Auburn's punt return game for special teams. He's had some really good returns. We saw it at Texas A&M. He was able to get a lot of good punt returns. Now, yes, the fumble this weekend was very tragic for Auburn, but I think the special teams, Anders Carlson kicking field goals, has been a bright spot for the Tigers, and I think they deserve that A-. So now we're going to move over to the offensive side of the ball. Now, everyone has talked about it, the freshman quarterback Bo Nix, new offensive lineman, Jatarvius Whitlow coming back for his sophomore year, a great receiving core. How would you grade their season so far?
You know, if I'm being honest, I would probably say a C+. They seem to be hitting their stride week 5 against Mississippi State, but then after this past week, they just kind of went where they were at the beginning of the season, and it looked like there was no building off of their great performance week 5.
And it was definitely 2 steps back for the Auburn offense. I think the pressure of going into the swamp, undefeated, Florida looming large, I think it got to the freshman quarterback, and we saw that, made a lot of bad reads on some throws. But I think you can take some positives if you're an Auburn Tiger fan, that the offense has had some good games. The Mississippi State game was a good game. The Kent State game, they put up a lot of points. Oregon, they found a way to win when they needed it most. The Texas A&M game, they made a statement on the road. But it's still, as you said, it's going to be a learning progression for Bo Nix as he's made some mistakes. But I think the Auburn offense can improve and can get better towards the end of the season. So now we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. They've been very strong. They've kept Auburn in games. How would you grade them this season?
I would give them an A+. I think that they have really found their stride. They're definitely one of the most elite defenses in the country, with star players like Derek Brown, who had 4 tackles this weekend, 1 sack, 2 fumbles. So, I mean, I think that they're doing pretty good.
And see, we've made a lot of comments on Derek Brown, Marlon Davison, but I think one person you have to look at is KJ Britt. He's been a stellar player so far for Auburn. He's really led the linebacking core very well, made a lot of crucial tackles, and the defense as a whole has made crucial stops when they need to. I go back to that 4th and 1 against Oregon, where Oregon needed this drive to maybe wipe away the Auburn comeback, but Auburn made a stand, and they were able to go on and get the win with 9 seconds left. I think that was one of the turning points of the season early on. Also, the performance against Texas A&M, where they were able to shut out A&M out of the red zone for 3 quarters until A&M was able to find the end zone in the 4th. And I think it goes to show you that Kevin Steele has made this defense one of the best in the country, and they're able to keep Auburn in games. Now, whether or not the offense can come through is a question, but at least the Tigers know that if they're ever in trouble offensively, they know their defense can back them up. So now we're going to talk about Auburn's remaining schedule, and it doesn't look easy for the Tigers as they face LSU, Georgia, and Alabama in this upcoming stretch. And Delaney, I want to get your thoughts on what Auburn's road looks like. What are the games that you worry for them the most, and what are the games that you think Auburn can easily win?
Well, I know that this stretch of away games is going to definitely be trying on the Tigers. After the bye week, there'll be Arkansas. So definitely not a game to take lightly, but as long as the Tigers play and improve on what they need to work on from week 6 against the Gators, I think that they have a good chance of winning that one pretty easily. But then after that with LSU, they're really going to have to pick up their game because that's when the hardest stretch is going to start.
And it seems like Auburn now has lost their get-out-of-jail card now that they lost to Florida, because a lot of people thought, Auburn can maybe afford to lose one game if they beat Florida. But now it's looking like LSU's going to have to be a must-win game, which is not good considering Auburn has not won down in Baton Rouge since 1999, since Tommy Tuberville was there. And now it looks like Auburn is more than likely going to have to beat Alabama and Georgia as well if they're going to have an outside chance of going to Atlanta. So do you think Auburn can run the table, or is there going to be a few road bumps?
I think based on past years, there'll probably be a few road bumps, but if they keep improving on what their performance so far, I think that there is a good possibility they could make it to Atlanta this year.
For sure, and it will take some help. LSU does have to play Alabama. Alabama may have to lose a game, maybe like Texas A&M this coming weekend. So there's going to have to be some help for the Auburn Tigers, but it's going to be a tough road ahead if they're going to have hopes of going to Atlanta. Well, that's all that we have for you for this bye week preview. I'm Andy Hewing, joined by Delaney Barrow, and we'll see you next week.